choices.
Well, also making headlines once again this weekend, the Arizona immigration reform law, the strictest in the country now. But will this lead to national immigration reform?
Republican Congressman Brian Bilbray is chairman of the House of Immigration Reform Caucus, and he joins us this morning. Welcome. Good morning.
Good to
Welcome
see you
home.
Yes, it really is nice to be home.
Thanks for being back. All right, well, let's start. A little bit of controversy involving you, based off of something that you said on MSNBC to Chris Matthews. The question was about how do you determine who are these illegal immigrants? And you said they'll look at the type of dress you wear, there's different types of attire, right down to the shoes. What did you mean by that?
Example was we actually had a case in San Diego County where an officer told me about a trespassing case. Shows up, finds somebody hiding, they've got a jogging outfit on and street shoes. Then they ask, look, do you have any documentation, whatever. But, you know, it's everything combined. You got to look at the whole package. It's sort of like saying if you pull over a van for speeding and 35 people jump out and start running, the officer has probable cause to think that they ought to be checking on those situations. That's what I mean, the whole package. And those of us that have grown up along the border like I have will realize this is all part of the process. I get pulled over all the time down along the border. That is just something you do when you go down into this area, you get in that. There's always going to be that big picture that the officers look for.
So if you get pulled over, then are you worried about what some other people could have to deal with?
Well, if your activities constitute that, but you got to understand, the Arizona law even goes farther. It says only if they stop you for something else, if they stop you for drunk driving, and then they ask for your identification, and you have no identification, and then they ask you, are you a U.S. citizen? You say no. They then basically lead up to, maybe I ought to call an ICE agent and have them come check. This argument that, oh, people are going to be profiled, that profile is absolutely outlawed under this law. What's really going on in Arizona is implementing statewide a federal law, the 287G, that we've had for years and states and counties have. The difference is instead of doing it city by city or county by county, they're doing it statewide. And it really be hypocritical for those of us in the federal government to point fingers at the state for implementing our federal programs.
Congressman, we had some national attention to San Diego, too. Congressman Duncan Hunter, San Diego congressman, he answered a question a couple weeks ago at a Tea Party event, and he made the statement, quote, I support the deportation of U.S.-born children from parents in this country illegally. And obviously there's been a lot of back and forth about his comment that he made. Your opinion on what he said and kind of the backlash he's received?
I think this is a lot like the Arizona issue. That anybody says anything, then they're going to be subject to it. And I think that is one of the reasons why the dialogue needs to be, where's our common ground? What Duncan was talking about is basically when a parent is deported, the minor child traditionally goes with that child unless they can find a legal guardian available. When my mother left the United States and went back to her native Australia for a few years, I went with her. Now, the whole family did, and the children, even though I was a U.S. citizen. Now, that wasn't so bad. What was bad is when we came back to the United States and had to go to Philadelphia. That was terrible at that time.
So, but you would say the children don't have to go, though, right?
No, but obviously, just like you have now when somebody's visa expires, the children go with the parent unless there's an arrangement made. You do not leave children unsupervised along the line. I think that's the whole thing here is this. It isn't an exemption. Having a child who's a U.S. citizen doesn't exempt you from the enforcement of any law, even the immigration law. And I think that's what Mr. Hunter was trying to hit at. But again, you don't dare bring this issue up without knowing that people are going to attack you no matter what you say.
Let's talk about that. You said that basically this law is because the federal government isn't doing their job. President Obama this week talked about how he wants to do immigration reform this year. What would you support that the Democrats would support? What would be the framework for a bipartisan agreement that people could actually back?
We have one. And what we really do is what Arizona did 2 years ago that everybody yelled about, but now is accepted, is require employers to use E-Verify to make sure the Social Security number matches. You say, well, are we willing to work together? We are, Alex. We actually have a bill that is a Democrat bill by Schuler of North Carolina that has Hispanic caucus members on it, Black caucus members on it, Democrats and Republicans. What it doesn't do is create an amnesty program, an award program. What it does says first, we've got to first stop the source of the problem. And the mistake, if anything, that Arizona's making is that it should be pushing on the federal government to do what they did and get to the true source of the problem, which isn't the border. It's the illegal employers across this country. We need to have a simple system so we separate those who purposely hire illegals from those who accidentally. And that's things that Democrats and Republicans have already proved we can do.
So you would vote for that Democratic bill?
Oh, I'm not only would vote for it, I am a original co-sponsor of it. We've actually got people working together. The key is here. We need to prove to the American public that Washington can be trusted to do the right thing at stopping illegal immigration by going to the source, taking on our buddies who's the employers. And until we do that, we don't have the right to ask the American people to trust us with a new amnesty program or doing this and this and this. We need to do the tough stuff, and that is tell our friends, no more cheap labor. You got to remember, Americans are unemployed by the millions in this country. How do we justify continuing to allow illegal employment when we have Americans who are waiting in line for those jobs?
All right. Congressman Brian Bilbray, pleasure to have you in studio again.
Thank you very much. So by the end of the year, do we have a bill?
I don't think so, because I think we're being held hostage for what they call comprehensive. Just do the things we can agree on, and I think that'll get the job done.
All right. Thanks, Congressman. Good to see you.
Welcome home. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and happy Mother's Day to your mother as well. We wish her well, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
All right. For more information, just go to our website, san diego6.com, and click on Hot Topics if you'd like to contact